Hello, dear friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So this is very impromptu because Cindy started to get information. I just was mentioning something to her, and she said, well, the guides say this, and that. Oh, and this and that. And it's like, okay, hang on one second. Let me get a few things together, and let's see what we got here. So please do subscribe both channels, Evolutionary Energy Arts and also on EEARTS. And remember, we're always on Brighteon, Rumble, and Bitchute as well. And, of course, we do want to thank everybody that's supporting us over on Ko-Fi and Patreon, so every video goes up at these spots here. And I wanted to preface that we're not going to focus on this, but on this particular video. This is a book some of you guys might find interesting, Vimanas and the Wars of the Gods. It might open a few eyes because there is so much clearly given to us in Hindu scripture of the fact that we are not alone here. We're not alone here. We had knowledge previously that would just stun the populace. If most people understood what has gone on Earth, they would be stupefied.
And they sure would. There's a lot of stuff that is really kept from us, but for very good reason.
And this is a little PDF that somebody did speaking about Manusha and the Homo Universalis. What's that? Homo Universalis, I should say, Universalis. Universal humanoid beings, 432,000 humanoid races in the Rig Vedic multiverse. Yeah, absolutely. The fact that we are not alone was well known, not just in the Hindu culture, but all the indigenous people all around the globe knew and understood there's many different forms of life, and many of them could still see other forms of life on a daily basis when people in, say, Europe, with their mindset already kind of locked in stone, wouldn't be able to see them.
No, this is information that we're really uncovering.
So, Hinduism and science, 8.4 million species of life. The Vishnu Purana, one of the 18 major Purana texts of Hinduism, which is estimated to be written between 100 BC, 100 CE. Again, dates are so far off in so many ways. Some things are much newer, some things are much more ancient than what the official sources say, because the official sources are covering things up, plain and simple. But it talks about the number of species on the planet Earth, which actually jives with what modern science has said. Wow. And that's not it. The dating of the Hindu universe is something, again, that makes perfect sense with modern science. The actual size and span of the Milky Way galaxy is another one that they are basically in agreement with. Yet many things, there's a lot of disagreement, and that disagreement is for a purpose. Utah earthquake caused the angel Moroni on Salt Lake Temple to lose his trumpet. This was back on March 18th, 2020. And, was it a sign? Is it a sign of something to come? Well, let's see. It's going to be 3 years ago come this March. Some people believe that we are in the middle of the tribulation from the Revelation 12 sign that occurred back in September of 2017, or those two eclipses that go right over the U.S., right at the New Madrid fault, with the first one happening in August 2017, and then the second one scheduled to occur, as long as they don't decide to change the path of the moon. Wink, 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 nod, nod, nod. That's going to be in April of 2024. 2024, man, what a year. 2024 just, what does it do? It almost kind of, it gives me goosebumps, 2024. Do you get that?
You're probably feeling the change that is to come, because when you have light bodies as sensitive as ours, it reaches out into the etheric realm, and just speaking of it will give you that emotion. So you're feeling what's to come for sure.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say before we go any farther into this is everybody should develop your own discernment. And that's the key, because right off the bat, again, So many people recognize and realize we can't trust anything that the politicians tell us, the mainstream media tells us. Certainly, we really can't trust the history books, as history is written by the victors. I mean, a great analogy is looking to the movie 1984, where they're rewriting history every single day. There's a whole group, massive group of people that their whole purpose is rewriting history in this movie. And, again, this has a basis in reality. It truly does. I mean, there are people out there that it's all about controlling the narrative. And when we look to the alphabet soups, that's really what they do so much. They're here to control the narrative. And, alphabet soups as in powers that be with those. Usually it's 3 letters, get the idea, C period, I period, A period. What are they doing? They're investigating bad guys is what they will say. But the reality is they're controlling a narrative. It's about controlling a system. And it doesn't matter what side of a border they are on. They're all really, whether they know it or not. And most of the people in these groups don't know it. They really don't know it. Just like most people in these religious groups, well, they've never perhaps read their scripture from cover to cover and compared it with another scripture from cover to cover. You gotta look deeper and then look at who is this guy that gave us these revelations. Did he really give us these revelations, or did somebody say that he gave us these revelations? Is it pseudepigraphal? Is it actual? What's really going on? And is there any significance to the angel Moroni losing his trumpet? Think about how all this is so embedded in our psyche. And yes, maybe Mormonism is not familiar to you, but still, if you are born up in a Judeo-Christian tradition, you might have heard of angels blowing trumpets. I mean, it's all in there, right?
It sure is. It sure is. It's definitely all in there. So our belief system is so very important, and these entities understand that these beings from higher realms they call angels are not exactly angels, but they do come from what we would call the heavens.
Yeah, and so this is where things get really, really confusing. As you see, it looks like he lost half of his arm besides the trumpet. The angel Moroni stands atop Salt Lake Temple, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, again, your old men in the latter days will, have dreams and visions, and your women and your kids, and everybody's going to prophesize. Well, yeah, and why not? Because we're getting out of the Kali Yuga. So your DNA is coming back online. It's not that you have a dogma and nobody else has that dogma, and all of a sudden you can do magic and nobody else can do magic, or you could tap into the will of the one true creator. Again, we've covered so much of this in so many different videos. The one true creator is all about individual expression and freedom, and there is no dogma needed. No dogma needed. If you want to have a dogma, well, fine. And if it's your choice and there's no coercion and you find it fun, comforting, whatever it is, all the above, good for you, and again, if it changes, it changes. Most people, I think, you have a couple of different groups of people. You have those people that are born into a system. They don't even ever question the system. They just stay with the system without even, going deep, feeling, analyzing, seeing what's really talking to them about the system. They just were born in it. They don't question it. Then you get people that question it, question everything. And maybe that's why they'll jump from one system to another. With me, I just had to explore everything possible. And so, that's what I did. I wanted to try every different church, and I had a good time doing that for the most part. As what you find with people is that they're looking for something. They're looking for comfort. They're looking for reassurance. They want to know that there's a bigger purpose to everything that we see going on, especially those things that don't seem to make any sense, or those things that seem very, very tragic. So they find comfort. They find solace with people of like mind. when we look to Joseph Smith, again from the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it's a revelation that supposedly hit him in which he has a angelic visitation. Now, here again is where there's so much distortion. We have a large group of the population that does believe in angels, and we will tell you that yes, from our experience, absolutely, there are angels. But we will also tell you that there are extraterrestrials and interdimensionals, and yes, there are demonic type beings, and yet there are angelic type beings. How would you define them? Well, I think the definition we would use for an angel is a soul, which is basically an entity. A soul is the piece of source spark that has a unique conscience, yet is still part of the one.
Mm-hmm. It's someone who wants to help other people on their human journey, and there are many of them, and that's their only purpose, is to help, assist, guide. But so often our angels are sidelined because what we need to do is ask. We need to ask. That's the key. You need to ask. And so many people just think, oh, I don't believe in them. They're not there. This thing happened to me and I didn't get any answers, and therefore they're just not there. Well, we have to open our hearts and we have to look deeper. And once you do start this communication with your angelic team, everyone has a team, that communication starts to grow and grow and grow. And we can do that, all of us.
Absolutely. And so, an angel is a being that is in service to others. And I would also put with the original plan of creation in mind. Yes. So, basically, an angel, by very definition, is again supporting the creator of this universe and is in agreement in accordance with Source, which is beyond the creator of this universe, yet the creator of this universe is a part of Source, just like we are. And yet you would definitely say that they have a benevolent nature, because truly they are in service to support. So ultimately, again, every single human being on Earth here, this is souls having human existences. We're having a temporary existence as a human. We're not always a human. We're actually that soul. So we're a piece of the source spark. We're a part of Source itself. God truly lies within each and every one of us. And again, I find it so obvious and so fascinating when you have that Book of Revelation quote that says, when does the end come? It's when man says that he is God and he sits in the temple of God. Well, the temple of God is your body. When you come to the self-realization that Source is in you, that's when they're going to basically do everything that they're doing. And that's happening right now. We're recognizing that our reality is a distortion given to us by these controlling entities. So what you have to say and question, if you want to look at, how about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Mormon Church? Who was Moroni? And, what happened? Did Joseph Smith really have a visitation? And who was this Moroni? Is it truly an angel that's in service to the creator of this universe? Or is it another one of these entities, of which there are many, that we might say is in service to the AI dragon side of things? Or is it even totally independent of those, as the Earth is always visited by beings from elsewhere, and not just of 3D, 4D, 5D. There's all these different densities. When you see somebody that's glowing, it's a clue that you're looking at a light body.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you ask, who is this Moroni? So when I asked, okay, who's Moroni? They told me he was an entity that does deal with AI, that has parts of him that work through AI, looking for someone he can utilize to create a force here on Earth that he can absorb and use that energy from. Now, looking at humans, you can see there's different types of energy bodies. And when you understand from the higher realms what you're looking for, you can work through a human that might be quite influential in a way. And this is what he found with Joseph Smith. He found Joseph Smith to have a light body, which made him extremely influential. And if he could manipulate that human, he could create a force that is basically devout to him, an energy that he could utilize so that he could have more control. And, you know, I'm not getting that it's something good because it is AI and because it is involving manipulating a human and their earthly experience by giving them information that would otherwise change their path. Whenever I see that, that's something that I consider not to be of a benevolent nature.
So again, the visitation, and you know what they've used, especially the Abrahamic tradition, to lay the groundwork for the age that we've been in. This has been their main religious programming. As we know, 2/3 of the world comes from the Abrahamic tradition. 2/3. That's a huge number. But it's, again, only a tool. And yeah, it's always morphing. It's always changing. So when you say AI, again, do you feel direct ties back to the Draconian influence, the Anunnaki?
I have to say yes, because it is that AI that's not benevolent. It is that darker force. So
yeah, so this is, again, a modern day control system. And again, doesn't mean that there's not wonderful people in the Mormon church or in any church. There's truly Catholic saints, even though the popes themselves, very dark, extremely dark, and reporting directly to the entities that we would call the Gigi, of which until recent times there was 3 of them here on the planet that were controlling, for the most part, the daily happenings on the planet. Of course, they are relays, and there is a chain of command, because everything we see on this planet, the structure of it, is the Draconian AI, Anunnakian, Egigian, Illuminati. Again, the secret society. It's all their structure, and it comes on down from the Draconian system. So everything that we're used to is truly, you could say, it's the system of Satan. It really is. Satan is the adversary. And yet, when you look at Lucifer, that's really a distortion. Lucifer's called the light bringer, but they don't bring the light at all. No, light is information, light is knowledge and gnosis. No, they don't bring the light. And again, people have ingrained in them, but Satan can appear as an angel of light. Yeah, there you go. But also the original visitations that were given to, again, when you look to, and we have looked, and we might as well include it in this too, when you remote view and you go into what did Muhammad encounter? What type of entity did Muhammad encounter? And, of course, the Quran is the fastest spreading book in the world, even faster perhaps than the Bible, as Islam has been growing in leaps and bounds. And what we had gotten before was the same energies. This is, again, the Draconian system. This is another visitation by beings that might appear as angels of light, but no, they're not angels of light. And it's the same thing again with the biblical sources themselves. As again, the Bible is the number 1 published book in all history, and the Quran number 3. So, it should be just an obvious thing, but it's, again, something that people don't question. So when we see this visitation, and we see also the affiliation with the Masonic Lodge with Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, again, and the political entity, again, control. These are the main control systems: politics and religion. What are the two things you never discuss with others? 'Cause if you want to avoid a fight, right, an argument, politics and religion. Why is that? Because it's the main programming in the minds of the masses.
It is. And I just want to say there's so many extremely good people that are with these organizations that truly from their heart that just want to do good, and that's their day-to-day life, and that's something that we should all honor. There might come a point where you decide to question the hierarchy of these places, maybe keep a system doing what you're doing and helping others. But just like with me, I had this inkling in my heart when I was going. I volunteered at Sunday school. I went to church. I went to Bible study. But the entire time, it's like I knew in my heart that there was just something wasn't quite right. It wasn't sitting well with me, and I couldn't find any honest answers. And quite frankly, things just didn't make any sense. But I needed to, because of my human soul, the way it is, I need to experience spirituality in the most deepest forms. So I went the route most other people go. I just couldn't stay with it. After I learned certain truths, then my soul's not going to sit with anything that I know is no longer a truth. I had to change. I had to find my truth. I had to find my people. I had to find complete understanding. And that's where so many of us are.
And I think the vast majority of people mean well. It's what they're grown into, and they mean well. They really, really do. Because you do have people that, don't care about it in the first place and are very materialistic and are happy being materialistic, so they just don't get involved at all, period. Or they might realize that, being involved in a church can help further their political agenda, their work agenda, their monetary position in life, because it could be an opportunity to increase your social networks per se. There's always people that will recognize the benefits of basically associating with certain groups. When you look to the systems of the world, if obviously Satan controls the systems of the world, and Satan just, again, means adversary. And isn't it interesting that when you look at a draconian system, when we look at draconian, that whole word, they're going to say it comes from a Roman senator or origin, but it's not the case. And I do think it was a Roman senator, if I remember right, Draco, but no. You can't hide the origins of this. Everything is rewritten. Everything's always rewritten. So when they need to rewrite things, they'll always start a new tradition out of the old tradition. And infiltration too, because in the West, the secret esoteric beliefs that in the East have been espoused openly, the truths that we find in the Sanatana Dharma, in Buddhist philosophy about the very nature of the universe, in the Tao Te Ching, and in many other classic texts, they had to be hidden in the West because of the system itself. So they go underground, and they become Gnostic and Hermetic principles. They become the Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism, things along those lines. And really, when you look at groups like the Masons, again, every single entity, when it becomes large enough to become a threat, gets infiltrated, distorted, and pulled into the system.
Mm-hmm. And it is. And people are waking up to that, though. People are understanding that there's something not quite right. Things don't flow as they should. And because our bodies are getting brighter, the light of source is moving into us even more. We need to feel the truth. So whatever is not true in your life, you're going to feel it. It's going to be irritating. And it's going to be so irritating that you're going to have to do something about it until it relieves, that irritation is relieved. And this is what it's like moving into alignment. When you are wanting to connect yourself to higher self, all those things around you that simply do not work for your benefit, they're going to fall away.
So Brigham Young, who took over for Joseph Smith, was the first governor of Utah, the state of Utah. You see how religion and politics intertwined. And it still is. Yes, we did a video showing how the presidents swear on the Bible. Not every single one has sworn in on the Bible, but the vast majority have. The vast majority have. And again, when you look, the vast majority will say that they are one or another form of Christian. And this is just not to point out the fact of the matter is that religion has been used to divide us. It's been used also to excuse atrocities. Because, I mean, if you go all the way back to, basically Joshua and Moses' time coming to the promised land, who told them? Well, people will say, well, the creator of this universe did. God. Well, first they'll say God. And you would say, well, can you distinguish which God? Well, there's only one God. Okay, yeah, and who is that? And they might say Jehovah, or they might say Yahweh. And they don't even realize, again, that the first words used to denote that God is Elohim in the plural, and it's not Yahweh, and it's not Jehovah. Jehovah's Latinized Yahweh. Yahweh, there's different texts in there again. There's whole sections of Bible study. There's so much that's been written on why do some texts refer to God as El and others as Yah. And again, it's part of this fact that this is all constant revisionist history that's going on. Constant revisionist history. It's all about controlling the minds. It's creating thought forms, just what, Cindy was getting. The original thought form for Yahweh Jehovah is still being fed by all those people that are sending their prayers out to Yahweh Jehovah. And who created that original thought form? It's the same beings that brought this thought form in recent times. It's the same system. So we're giving our power away. It's more than giving our power away. We're feeding it. Unintentionally feeding the satanic system.
And that's the part where if everyone could see the energy and how it flows, and if they could see the energy that is making up some of these entities, then you would have a totally different understanding, and you would probably choose differently. So they use our belief systems to navigate our energies in a certain direction that's most advantageous to them. And that's why it is important for us to get in touch with our own soul and figure out, okay, what do I want for me? What is my baseline? What is my belief? My belief, not a belief that somebody has told me. What is my belief? And sometimes that's not an easy answer, but it's the best answer that you could ever find for yourself, because within that answer lies peace.
So, again, the ties to the secret societies are always there. They're always there. Again, the best laid intentions often, unfortunately, in this world are subverted, taken, distorted, and utilized by the dark side, so to speak. And, again, when we look to his visitations and stuff, you could seriously, if you just read some books on abduction phenomenon and see these things in a different light, because, again, it's the same entities. These entities monitor everything going on the planet. They're always trying to control those that can see and can't see. Now, he had a very developed light body. Now, this is why they chose them.
Yeah, I mean, that's super important to note, is Joseph Smith had an extremely developed light body, in comparison to most. He definitely came down here to be a leader, and these entities can see that. They can see light bodies, and then they approach those beings with these light bodies in such a way to use their energies. And of course, if someone gets put in a position and they get lifted up, they're going to act on that. And what these entities do is they have an understanding of how to put these hierarchies together in such a way that the energy is going to filter to them. They just need the correct human form so that people will follow them. And yeah, there is a lot of people out there who have certain developed light bodies that are very, very influential. And that can be seen energetically. The influence from someone can be seen, it can be felt, and if properly utilized, can really manipulate a lot of people. And it's not right to me.
Can you sense anything about who he was supposed to be? Any sort of purpose? Like, did his higher self have the intention of trying to straighten out and clarify what's going on with the system, and then it was all taken and distorted?
That's exactly what happens. These beings come down here with a purpose. And yes, if it's a certain timeline, if there's a certain timing that's off, then yeah, that information can get swayed. It can get utilized for something different. Right now, if he'd been born right now, it would be completely different. He would be heading up more of a true light worker type of situation where people would have freedom of belief and understanding. So it's just such a delicate situation to even really talk about, because we're dealing with people's belief systems to their core. I never want to upset anyone. But honestly, these people, they're spotted for their light bodies. And then if it's a darker time, they are utilized to control others.
So in reality, he is what we probably would have called a starseed light worker, that just everything in his mission got kind of waylaid and got hijacked by the control system
because of the where they're at in the photon belt right at that time.
Yeah. So again, this is a painting of him from 1842. So if he did come in at this point in time, it probably would have been a very different circumstance. He would have been a true, quote unquote, reformist of a high spiritual nature. It's because of the darkness and the strength of that darkness at that point in time in the control system. As we go more and more into the photon belt, they're losing their grasp. And so I had shared before, and we've said that there were these three EGG. Again, the EGG, if you look back into the Anunnaki tablets, they're the ones that were working for the Anunnaki. And again, why are they working for the Anunnaki? Well, ultimately, the Anunnaki are working for the Draco. The Draco are working for this AI component. And it's truly a dark artificial AI consciousness that they are enslaved to. And the Anunnaki are enslaved to the Draco, and the Gigi were enslaved to the Anunnaki. As we know, that term SH whatever T rolls downhill, so to speak. And so humanity has been occupied, controlled by these oppressors. And again, when you look to the stories, they say humanity was created to be a slave race. Well, no, we weren't created to be a slave race. We were conquered, so to speak. The planet was conquered in the Dark Age, and they are utilizing humanity as a slave race, but that's not our original intent. And again, these bodies are just vehicles for the souls. So the souls come in to have an experience, and many of these souls that are here right now are here to basically blow the doors wide open on the system and show humanity the path to liberation.
Right. The light is definitely going to overtake the darkness, as it does. But remember, as that light is getting brighter, the darkness actually gets a little bit darker. So things might get a little bit rougher before they actually get better.
And so those EGG were on Mars, and they came to Earth, and truly, the origins of the Abrahamic system came from Mars to Earth with them, so to speak, as this is just the manner in which they enslave minds. By enslaving minds, they enslave bodies, and they turn people into useful tools. And that's ultimately what's happened. There were many, and when they originally came, and you might see kind of references that you could take to them. Again, everything is distorted. So if you want to look at the Book of Enoch and take the 200 that make a vow, in some ways we can equate them to the Igigi. And again, everything is a distortion because it's been constantly rewritten. But now there's only one left. There's only one of them left here on Earth. And again, these are physical beings. They're physical just like us. And whereas the Anunnaki are in a little higher density and fourth density. And again, we are actually entering that density now as we speak. Now, they're stuck. They don't go anywhere. They're stuck. So we can rise up to where they are going to appear to be very physical to us. But as we rise up past them and we start looking at them in the rearview mirror, they can only look back at us as we just basically disappear from their grasp. And that's the bigger scheme of things. So obviously, there's the secret societies which have been subverted, taken control of. Again, so many people understand things to a degree, but then they get trapped in their own Abrahamic lens and can't see outside of that. Because even like when we look to the visions of Albert Pike, and, he says, oh, well, the Third World War is going to be all about, unveiling to the world the system of Lucifer. Yeah. Again, it's all about covering up the light. It's all about covering up and doing whatever they can to stop pineal glands from functioning any way, shape, or form. If they can't stop it, then they just have to be moved from this particular density, if you understand what that means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's nothing that's very nice at all, and that's why it's good if we can all continue to work together and awaken together, because yes, there is safety in numbers, and that's what they've created. They've created numbers. Well, we have to do the same thing and stick together and give each other that time and understanding and, cushion of love that we need to awaken in a safe manner, because it is a bumpy ride. It can be a very bumpy ride when you're having an awakening.
And this is, a topic for another video. We've talked about this several times too. Charles Taze Russell, well, his family is one of those major families of that ILL, UMNI, you guys get it. I'm trying to just get away from the algorithms as they listen to every single word we say and they bury it deep, like yesterday's video on Evolutionary, exposing how world leaders become super rich, keeping control in bloodlines, presidents, and royals. 1.4, yeah, that's, nobody's interested in knowing that. Sure. You guys are just hiding it. Yeah. That's all they do, is they hide it. They don't want this coming out. Because again, when you look to, who is this? This is the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, again, it's another replay of the same story. And again, this Russell family is actually one of the 13 main families. Again, we've quoted many books, including Bloodlines of the Illuminati, going back to 2017. And you could find these sources for this info in various places before they get burned. Again, cyberly or in reality. Yeah, it's the same story over and over again. The world's going to end on this date. The world's going to end on this date. What are you doing? You're sowing the seeds of death and destruction. And this is the same old story, told and retold again and again and again. It's them. It's the controllers. This is the controllers. This is what they do.
And the sooner we can all wake up and recognize that it is one great big control system, the sooner we can get out of it and then live the lives we want to live. How wonderful would it be if you were able to simply think about, what would you just simply love to do? What would you just love to do? Not for a living, not for money, but what would you love to do? What would you love to expand on? That's where humanity should be at this point, is exploration, not worried constantly about, day after day to make this bill, to make that bill, worried that there might be some emergency or some other financial situation might crop up. No, that's not where we're supposed to be. We should be thinking about the love for ourselves and our fellow light workers, and wondering, how can we express that?
Absolutely. So keep exposing, guys. Keep sharing these videos everywhere you can, places like Reddit and Godlike Forum. Again, we are here to show the system has so many different tentacles in every aspect of our lives. It's so thickly entrenched. And yes, as people wake up, they find that, okay, I'm okay with not believing in Fox News anymore, or CNN or MSNBC, but they won't let go of certain other aspects. They won't, well, it's not even let go. Just open up your mind to possibilities. Just do a little research. That's all it takes. Actually, cover to cover, read, resonate. What feels right? What feels wrong? Go within. And when I see comments, and I saw one on Bitchute, again saying, well, things like yoga and meditation, these things, I don't know, they just feel like they're of the devil. It's like, oh God, it's the old head up the what, I mean, it's so painful to remove that head and come see the light of day for the first time. But it's something that has to be done, because again, sheeple are being led to the cliff, and everybody that's in this whole mass of humanity, even those that are awake, when the mass of humanity is trampling like an out of control herd, it makes it dangerous for every single individual, and they could just sweep you off the cliff with them, as is what has happened time and time again with the extermination of one group of people after another on this planet. It's always the ones that are more awake that become eliminated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really got to work on turning this ship around.
Absolutely. So we look forward to your comments. As always, may you be blessed by the true creator of this universe. Namaste.
Namaste.